I'm Jeff Moskowitz, chair of the Young Lawyers section of the Chicago Bar Association. Each year, during the first week of May, the Young Lawyers section celebrates Law Day with various activities, including a public celebration at the Richard J. Daley Center. This year, we cannot publicly gather to celebrate. However, we can still come together virtually to acknowledge the importance of the rule of law and the role the legal justice system plays in protecting our freedoms. The YLS has interviewed thought leaders and justice seekers from many different legal professions who shared their personal reflections on the 2021 theme, Advancing the Rule of Law Now. Tune in May 3rd through May 7th to hear more from all of our contributors' personal reflections. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Justice Rita Garman. I'm the senior member of the Illinois Supreme Court, elected from the 4th District. I make my home in Danville, but I'm very pleased to be with you today on Law Day as we celebrate this important event. In his proclamation, creating the 1st of May as Law Day, President Dwight Eisenhower said, "In a very real sense, the world no longer has a choice between force and law. If civilization is to survive, it must choose the rule of law." This year's Law Day theme is advancing the rule of law now. But how do we advance it? We advance it I believe, by educating our fellow citizens on the importance of the rule of law and the system in which it governs. Our way of life as free men and women flourishes when the rule of law is acknowledged and upheld as the foundation of an orderly society. Because of the pandemic and the recent elections, this last year has brought us to the forefront of many of our most cherished freedoms: the right to free speech, the right to worship, the right to peaceably assemble, and the right to vote. And we cannot leave out the sanctity of the person and the home, as well as the principles of equal treatment and due process. These God-given freedoms and protections must not be taken for granted, even in the midst of a pandemic, or they will be lost forever. Only through constant education can we remind our fellow citizens of the importance of our constitutional rights and the rule of law that protects them. Because as William Pitt once wrote, "Where law ends, tyranny begins." All of us, when we were sworn in as members of the bar, pledged ourselves to support and maintain the rule of law. Even as we engage in zealous advocacy on behalf of our clients, we do so with appreciation of the legal process as a means of dispute resolution and dispensing justice. As lawyers, we can contribute to the advancement of the rule of law by helping to educate our friends, our family, and our neighbors about not only the roles of the lawyer in the system, but also the legal system in preserving and protecting our constitutional rights and upholding the rule of law. For our part, the Illinois Supreme Court has sought to educate the public, and students especially, by riding the circuit and holding oral arguments across our state in places like Mount Vernon, Ottawa, Lisle, Champaign, and Chicago, to name a few. It has been a worthwhile endeavor, and one that I hope has opened the eyes of those involved to our peaceful way of adjudicating disputes and interpreting the law. In a similar way, the Illinois Judges Association has promoted courtrooms in the classroom to help shed light on the judiciary to young students. I also was delighted to learn that the Chicago Bar Association has utilized a similar program, Lawyers in the Classroom, to help grade school students learn about the Constitution, the legal system, and law-related careers. My Law Day message to you is to use your voice and use your talents and embrace every opportunity you have to spread this message. particularly by speaking to students and civic groups about this very important topic. Because if not you, then who will teach the next generation about the rule of law, the very fabric that holds our society together? Educating others on the rule of law is only part of the equation. We must also preach the importance of respecting the laws themselves. Civil society thrives when citizens adhere to its rules. The world would be a much different place if stop signs were routinely ignored, if a neighbor's fence no longer was considered a barrier, or if this year's tax bill was taken as simply a suggestion. To further this respect, we must ensure that the law applies fairly and impartially, no matter a person's race, gender, ethnicity, or social status. It must apply equally to lawyers and judges, to the rich and the poor, to ordinary citizens and chief executives. Only then will our promise of liberty and justice be not for some, but for all. As we take a few moments to reflect on this year's Law Day, let us also rededicate ourselves to fostering respect for the laws that guide us and the rule of law that protects us. Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We all have the opportunity as lawyers to make a difference. By our words and our actions, we can show others the importance of not only respecting the law, but also of upholding the rule of law. As we begin today, because if not, when? We have to start today. That's essential. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful Law Day and reach out to others.
I think that this year's Law Day theme of advancing the rule of law now is particularly important given the current climate of our society and the issues that have come up and really been highlighted throughout the pandemic and throughout the last year. As a current counsel for the Senate Judiciary Committee, focusing on criminal justice and civil rights reform, as well as a former Cook County public defender, protecting civil liberties and promoting justice, especially racial justice, is particularly important to me. I think that as attorneys, we have a responsibility and ethical duty to make sure that we are culturally competent and that we are using our unique set of skills and resources to be a voice for those who don't have a voice themselves. I was especially proud to be able to help co-found the Chicago Bar Association's Racial Justice Coalition in the last year, where we have focused on promoting racial justice and eradicating systemic racism through service, community engagement, and education. That education component has been particularly important because, again, as attorneys, I think that we really need to make sure that we are explaining to the public what their rights are and making sure that we really convey and encourage the message that everyone has these rights and everyone should be able to exercise them effectively and from a place of equity. So that's very important to me. And I think that this year's Law Day message really reflects that. And I hope that it causes everyone to really think about what our responsibilities are from the legal profession in advancing that message.